The views and opinions expressed by the guests and contributors on Conklin and Company are not necessarily those of 13 ABC. Now, Conklin and Company continues with Take 3, commentary and analysis from our panel of political contributors.
Jacqueline Policastro, thanks very much for joining us this morning. You're going to be in Florida for the third and final presidential debate. We're at 1-1 right now. Most political analysts say Romney won the first one. The president may have won the second one by a bit. Have you felt, as the Washington insider and our Washington bureau chief, have you felt a momentum shift along the campaign trail and at those debate sites?
Absolutely. Right now, you're hearing a lot about this Rust Belt surge. You guys see it in the polls there. States like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. The momentum definitely is changing, but I can tell you from talking to Democrats and Republicans at each one of these sites and then back here in Washington, it depends on who you talk to as far as where the momentum's really going. We see it in the polls, but when I talk to Democrats, they're very firm, saying that they still feel that they have the lead and they're not worried, although you will see a push in these swing states. There was just a piece I was reading today about college campuses and Democrats into Indiana. It'll remain cool, cloudy, and unsettled with showers around even as we head into tonight. I'm Viola Yas.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests and contributors on Conklin and Company are not necessarily those of 13 ABC. Now, Conklin and Company continues with Take 3, commentary and analysis from our panel of political contributors.
Jacqueline Policastro, thanks very much for joining us this morning. You're going to be in Florida for the third and final presidential debate. We're at 1-1 right now. Most political analysts say Romney won the first one. The president may have won the second one by a bit. Have you felt, as the Washington insider and our Washington bureau chief, have you felt a momentum shift along the campaign trail and at those debate sites?
Absolutely. Right now, you're hearing a lot about this Rust Belt surge. You guys see it in the polls there. States like Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. The momentum definitely is changing, but I can tell you from talking to Democrats and Republicans at each one of these sites and then back here in Washington, it depends on who you talk to as far as where the momentum's really going. We see it in the polls, but when I talk to Democrats, they're very firm, saying that they still feel that they have the lead and they're not worried, although you will see a push in these swing states. There was just a piece I was reading today about college campuses and Democrats going out there, like the places that we've been, trying to rally up some of those young voters that helped propel them in 2008 that they're worried they might not be getting this time around. When I talk to Republicans, it's interesting because months ago, they basically pointed to Democrats. Now they're talking about Mitt Romney instead of Barack Obama.
Yeah, we've certainly seen the president at Bowling Green State University, Kent State University. Paul Ryan has come back to Miami. He's been to Ohio State. The president's been to Ohio State. So we've seen it all along the campaign so far. But tomorrow night, the third and final debate. Is this a must-win? Are you hearing this could be a must-win for the president?
I want to say yes, but his analysts would tell you absolutely not. They're going to say that he's going to be fine either way, that he's going to pull through and he's going to do well. The reason that I say it's a must-win is because look what happened during that first debate. When Mitt Romney came out strong, it propelled him. It changed those numbers in the polls. And when you look at, like you just mentioned, the youth vote or women voters or Hispanic voters, even African-American voters that I've talked to, all of those groups that are being micro-targeted really are paying very close attention. I've talked to a lot of undecided voters that tell me they're looking to these debates to really make their final decision. So I think it's a must win, but it's so close that it's hard to say whether or not a debate is really going to shift voters' opinions. And, you know, if you look at the past, a lot of analysts say it doesn't. So it's really hard to give a straightforward answer to that type of question.
All right. Okay. Jacqueline Policastro, our Washington bureau chief. We'll hear from her tomorrow night in Boca Raton, Florida. Tom Troy on the trail with these candidates. Seemingly 24/7, Tom. I mean,
it's been a busy couple of weeks, and it's going to continue. We had Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan here the previous week. This last week, we had mostly from the Obama campaign, and the high points, I guess, would be Bill Clinton and Bruce Springsteen in Parma, which is a Cleveland suburb. It's one of those cities.
The Boss actually play?
He played.
Yeah.
He played about 7 songs, and
you're a musician yourself, so
I know.
I bet that was
I loved
kind of a bonus
it. I loved
for you.
it. It was fantastic, and everybody there knew all the music. And sang along when they were asked to do so. The day before that, we had Condoleezza Rice in Berea. maybe not the wattage power that Bruce Springsteen is, but still something of a celebrity.
And decorated actress Alfrea Woodard in town for Barack Obama as well.
Right.
You were on the panel. As we veer from the presidential race to the Senate race, you were on the panel for the debate in Cleveland, the City Club, I believe, right?
Right, that's right.
And that was a rough and tumble forum, Tom. Not only you guys asked the questions, but out in the audience. I mean, that was like the Cleveland Browns, you know, the fans were asking the questions.
That was a raucous crowd, and they might have been wearing ties and gowns, but they were looking for a fight, and they were ready for some answers. And yeah, we played the part, 3 journalists played the part of asking the questions. A lot of times in these debates, it's just a question of throwing a word up there, deficit, and they'll give whatever answer they want to give. I think for Mandel, it was a chance to show that he's a serious politician. And even though the debates don't reach the numbers of people, or the Senate debate wouldn't come close to reaching the percentage of the population that votes in Ohio compared to the presidential debate, it still gave him an opportunity to come across as a serious politician. I think he helped himself in that regard.
There was some back and forth on whether he stuck to the answer or the question, because he kept going back to jobs. It's about jobs, correct?
Right. Well, they both came with talking points that they had rehearsed and they planned to talk about. As I said, you would just throw up the subject and they would give the answer that they were planned to give. And it was not a...
Eventually, right?
Eventually. Yeah. And sometimes they did answer the question. We asked a question of Mandel, what was your position on the auto bailout? And he's been ducking that for a year. He came out and said he would have voted against it, but he gave a reason that was not really related to the experience we've had here. It brought up the Delphi, the non-union Delphi people who retired and who supposedly had their pensions wiped out because of the auto bailout.
This question is about you personally as a journalist covering the candidates. You've talked to almost all of them along the line somewhere. Is there something from this campaign, Tom, that whether it be the Senate race or the presidential race, that before you actually start to write things down on that notepad that you have, where you just talk to President Obama or Mitt Romney or Josh Mandel and things that make it somewhat difficult to separate, and because you're a voter,
right?
But you're a journalist too.
As,
so
as a citizen, I have to make up my mind and go in that voting booth. And I told somebody today I like to wait until voting day. I'm not one of those people that votes early, because things could happen. Just like we saw the 47% remark shocked a lot of people. The debate surprised a lot of people. Literally turned the direction of this election around. The Benghazi, the first debate, the Benghazi thing affected a lot of people, and I'm the same way. You know, I'm affected by all those same things, just like every journalist is. And I'm closer to it. I get to see these guys up close and personal. I get to make my own judgments about who's being honest and who's not being honest. And honestly, sometimes it diverges quite a bit from what we see in the TV ads.
All right, but you got to play it. You do have to play it straight down the middle. There's no doubt about that. It's a pretty cool place to be right now here in Ohio. We appreciate it. Tom Troy, as always.
Nice to be here.
Well, Tom, we'll see Tom a lot.